Hello everybody, this is Ron with Sandcar Services, and today we're going to do a little mind-blowing. As if it wasn't hard enough for the do-it-yourselfer to tell the difference between an Ebox and a 2D, we're going to throw the unicorn into the mix. Now, according to my buddy Ian, who's worked for Mendeola for almost ever, there was only roughly about 75 of these made before the 2Ds came out. So for everybody that's got an MD4S mounted, listed on the side of their transaxle, the MD4 was the first Mendeola for the 2D style. Although it wasn't a 2D back then, it was an 091 gear stack. Very rare right now. There's not a lot of these left in existence because most of them have been destroyed and parts are really hard to come by. However, when the 2D came out, right around units 75 to 80, somewhere in that neighborhood, they went with the wider gears. Now, they also offered what was called Econobox, which was what we call the Ebox. Now, the Ebox runs a Type 1 Volkswagen gear stack, which is in here. All three of these units use a 10-inch ring and pinion with the bigger housing. So it's really confusing to everybody whether you have an Ebox, because everybody looks at the Mendeola MD4S and they go, oh, I got a 2D. You have to look at the thickness of the flange that's on your gear carrier, which is this piece right here. It's the part between the main case and your nose cone, and that's actually what holds your gears and your shafts. That actually, when you put that in, all your gears go in together. It's the part that you see when I show pictures of shift jigs. This is the part that's on the right-hand side, and then the shift jig is the part that's on the left-hand side, and then there's the big space, and it shows all the gears. Okay, so here's what's going to blow everybody's mind. So this, I call this the unicorn. There are so few of these. Now, this is the second customer that I've come across in the last 8 years that has one that's operational. We're going to get this hose out of the way, and we're going to set this measurement down on here. It's roughly 0.589 thickness on this flange. Now, let me show you what the difference is. This is an 091 gear stack. So this transmission's theoretically stronger than an Ebox, but it's not quite as strong as a 2D because the 2D's actually got bigger, heavier duty, stronger built gears. So here's a 2D gear carrier. See this flange? So if I put one ear on, just touch one gear, we haven't changed it, still 589 in that neighborhood. Look how much wider the 2D is. That's because the gears are wider inside the main case, and they had to make the gear carrier come back further. Now, let's look at an Ebox. Look at the difference between an Ebox and a 2D. So, there's actually 3 different transaxles you can have, although the chances of you having one of these, like I said, there was probably only 75 of them produced in total over the years, according to Ian. And hopefully I got that information correct. But they break. It's really hard to get parts for them. It runs a welded pinion shaft because the ring gear is the 10-inch ring gear. So they have to weld the 10-inch pinion onto an 091 shaft because they didn't make a one-piece shaft for the unicorn, which is the 091, or otherwise known as an MD4. So 2D, Ebox, MD4, which is an 091. So there's actually 3 separate transaxles. The 2D is the strongest of the 3. So when you're buying these, you have to know what size these flanges are. So let's just go ahead and measure these because I showed you the 589 on the unicorn. So if you have an Ebox, this flange is roughly going to be 0.300. All right. If you have a 2D, it's going to be 0.834. So I always say 3/4 of an inch, but it's actually bigger than 3/4 of an inch. So 0.830, let's just say. Yep, 0.830. So that tells you the difference in the sizes. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, because I'm entertaining, Let me show you why this came in. Let's not talk about the fact that it's got a starter on it and it's got a slave cylinder on it. That always makes me laugh. But supposedly, customer broke his engine. That's the story I'm getting. And when they went to pull the engine, the input shaft came out with it. That's not good. That's supposed to be attached to something. So we're going to open this thing up and see what happened and why that shaft is not connected to the main shaft. And hopefully it's not too bad. Supposedly the last trans shop that went through this put an awful lot of gears in it. So hopefully it just broke an input coupler. And then we can work on getting that fixed up for him. And hopefully he doesn't have any bad gears. But thought I'd share this with everybody. And I know it's confusing. The 2Ds will blow your mind because now I just introduced a third option that I've never talked about before. I'm going to post this video to my YouTube channel also. But for those of you on the Sandcar Buy and Sell crew, this video is for you guys because it's way too long to fit on my private page. And if you have any questions, give me or give your normal, whoever you have build your transmissions, give them a call and ask them questions. It's always a good idea to ask questions on what you think you have, especially if you're purchasing something or selling something and you're just not sure, because most of us guys are willing to help you guys out over the phone when we have time. All right? Ron with Sandcar Services, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was entertaining, and hopefully you don't have to replace a fuse because I just blew your mind. All right? Have fun, guys. We'll see you out in the sand.